Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Taisha, and I'm from Rize-Up Bronx. I'm coming to you with What's Your Take? I'm sitting with Lourdes and Danielle.
Hi.
And today we're going to be talking about dysfunctional families. Are you ready?
Questions prepared for us?
Are you ready?
Yes.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, so question number one. How to tell your family member that they are annoying?
So we get to choose whether we're answering as a woman
Or
as
as a
a therapist.
Okay.
Okay, who want you or me?
I don't know. I can't tell my family that they're annoying. I don't want to hurt their
Okay,
feelings.
so I'm gonna take this one,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
you could chime in if you.
Okay.
I would answer as a therapist, and I would ask my client, why do they want to express that their family member is annoying? What is the end goal? And if my client says, well, they're doing this A, B, and C, I would say, well, what you really want to do is set boundaries. So instead of, being verbally mean to someone, why don't we just talk about what is a healthy way to set boundaries with family members who tend to cross boundaries?
Right. Like I know you told me a little bit just now. Stalkish family members. So yeah, boundaries is good. I think we all need.
Assuming, right?
Yeah, I
And
think we all need to set up-
hypothetically, if they don't respect those boundaries?
Ooh.
Wow.
So,
Well, then I think you need to be like assertive with them, just like with anyone else. Just be assertive and be like, listen, I'm not doing this because I don't want to hurt your feelings. I just don't feel comfortable, or I think, I'm good. Like, you don't have to worry about me. So, just talking to them and see what what they correspond.
yeah. I mean, I think it's situational, but if you have a family member that's consistently violating boundaries, you're just going to have to create a bigger and bigger boundary. For example, if I call you, at 1 in the morning because I'm always in crisis, and I tell you, oh, I work early, I cannot be picking up the phone at 1 in the morning, please don't call me, and they keep doing it, well then maybe you put them on mute.
Mm-hmm.
And if they keep doing it and the lights are flashing, maybe you're going to have to block them at the end of the night. Like, it's just, as someone is not respecting your boundaries, that just means that our boundary becomes bigger and bigger and bigger.
Okay. The next question.
Yay. We did one!
How to get away from family pressure, like peer pressure.
Family pressure. Like if your mom is pressuring you to have a kid, or if your sister is pressuring you to
settle down,
give you a down payment for a house,
not do something, or whatever, out of the ordinary.
I can answer that.
Okay.
I think family members tend to pressure a lot of others a lot. Growing up as an only child, I felt pressured my whole entire life. I still continue to feel pressured, like, you gotta be successful, you gotta do this, you gotta do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always with a comeback. So, okay, yes, I might not be able to do this, but look, I've done A, B, C, and D. So I will get to eventually this, hopefully, if that's in my cards. But if not, I know that I'm successful in what I've done already. So you gotta love me either way.
I like that. You gotta love me either way.
I like that answer.
Okay. The next one. How to solve family issues without being stressed out.
Block, ignore. I'm not just joking.
No. Stop blocking everybody.
Yeah, no. Without feeling stressed out.
I think that would have to be like a lot of like self-care. I mean, or I guess
this is
like
a therapist, or this is the woman Lourdes?
This is a little bit of both. I don't know.
Blending,
blend.
Jump in and out.
Okay. It's kind of hard to separate sometimes when you're. I feel like I'm a therapist like 7 days a week, and Lourdes like 25 days a week. If that's, I don't know.
We got you.
It's a lot. But I guess as Lourdes, I would say that I would just have to just make time. Like, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to dedicate this time to this time to that. It's all about, I guess, time management, which is difficult, when there's so many aspects of situations that you have to deal with, especially when you're stressed out. You know, like
Right.
right now we have social distancing. Right now we have coronavirus. Sometimes we have all these incidents, all these situations that are making life the new normal, which is not normal to any of us. So it's very stressful just in itself. So it's about, I guess, time management, which is very difficult for some of us more than others.
I don't know who she's talking about.
I struggle with it.
Yeah, but we all do. I think we all do. I mean, that's part of life. I mean, that's, yeah. And I guess as a therapist, I would say, I guess stepping back to piggyback with the boundaries. Like, don't let everyone overwhelm you and just tell them, like, listen, I'm going to talk to you at this time, and we're going to try to deal with the situation the best way that we can. And if we can't, then we'll try to bring in another family member that can help. We shouldn't all just take everything on ourselves.
Delegating, managing expectations, yeah.
Okay. How to cut family off entirely?
Ooh. Well, I don't believe in cutting people off entirely. I think sometimes it's necessary if you're dealing with an extremely abusive person. But let's say you're dealing with, an annoying or overbearing or selfish, family member. I believe in distancing. And that could be extreme distancing. And the reason that I believe in that is because I believe when we cut people off, sometimes we go through this mourning process, or we're conflicted, or we just carry this like anger or wound. I feel like when we distance, we've just created a more healthy living environment for ourselves. The person's still there, they're just not there.
They're just not like
right there, right? I think it's a little healthier, but of course, to each their own. I don't know if you feel differently.
I think the same. Like, I would feel horrible to cut anyone off. But again, I guess I would distance. I mean, it also depends on like the agenda of the person. Like, if like certain people are not really there for your best interest, even if they're family members.
Intentions.
I keep them
at
a way distance.
Intentions are everything.
Right.
I also think, like, as a therapist, if a client is telling me, I cut this one off for this, I cut that one off for that, I cut this one off for this, I'm like, that's a red flag in my mind. Like, there's some sort of issue happening,
there's
and
something going on.
Someone is struggling to manage interpersonal relationships, because when you have relationships, you're not having relationships with perfect people.
Right.
You're having relationships with flawed individuals, because we are all flawed. So how do you manage those flaws in your relationship? The ones you bring to the table and the ones that they bring to the table. So, did we do a good job?
Yeah, I think the social distancing is actually helping with all of that.
Right.
Indirectly,
All those crazy family members at their house.
Yes. Okay. The next question: how to be at peace with family?
Oh, with family. Ooh, I'll start and I'll pass it to you to finish. I feel like a huge component of peace for me, and in my personal journey as a woman, has been accepting people's limitations. Because I think for many years, especially in my 20s, I kind of had this attitude, why can't you love me like this? Why can't you love me like that? Like, you want to be, for example, wanting to call up your sibling and talk about boys, and the sibling is like, I don't want to hear about this, and they hang the phone up. And it's just like feeling so wounded by that. It's like, well, maybe this is not a topic this person
For them.
enjoys talking about, and maybe I have a friend or two who I can engage in this topic, or maybe my aunt isn't affectionate, but you know what, my grandma's very affectionate. Like, just accepting people's limitations and learning how to meet your needs, number one, yourself, but number two, through other people who can provide that type of love you're looking for. What about you? Or did I answer it perfectly?
I think it was a great response. I mean, I know, like, recently, we have come together, like my family, doing Zoom videos, and we've connected with, family members that we haven't been able to see in a long time or speak to in a long time. And I think that brings a sense of peace, that we're all together, even though we're not together.
Right.
We're we're still there for each other, and you know, we can still text each other or video FaceTime. You know, there's so much technology that is not hindering us from keeping in touch. So I think that's the way I'm finding peace with my family.
I think when you accept people for who they really are, you don't get hurt in the long run.
Yeah, because when people fail to do right by you, I guess, for lack of a better way, that's their failing. And we have this tendency of personalizing it. So if we, like, let's say we're trying to be close to an uncle and they don't pick up the phone and they don't respond to our text, that doesn't mean that you're not a worthy niece or nephew. It means that this person is limited in what they could provide for you, and that's about their limitations, not about you. I also think some of us, just to be fair to those that are born into, you know, extremely dysfunctional or abusive families, I think sometimes we just have to focus on what we do have in our lives and what we can attain and reach. I think a lot of people get caught up in why me? Like, why was my friend has like an active, loving father and I never knew my father? Or why does my friend have a mom who like is super close to them and my mom is like, you know, abusive, verbally abusive. So
There's a lot of self-blame.
Yeah, self-blame, feeling stuck in the fact that you did not get what every child deserves: a loving family. Every child deserves a mother, a father, a roof over their head, food to eat, love, nurture. But a lot of us don't get that. And then how do we make peace with that? But I feel like if you're stuck in that why I didn't, you won't be able to make peace with that. I don't know why some children are born multi-billionaires and some children are born without food to eat. I don't have all the answers, but I do know if this is the hand that you were dealt, how can we take this hand and make something beautiful out of your life? You have to be progressive in your thinking, or else you'll be, emotionally stuck. Yeah.
I also think about like not taking things personal, like when family members or others don't communicate with you. Sometimes it really doesn't have anything to do with you whatsoever. Like Danielle said, I think it has to do with their own issues that they're going through. A lot of people are going through things that you can never imagine, and you're like, oh, they're avoiding me, they're not talking to me, like, what did I do? They come up with a whole list of questions of why me, and it's not even about you. Like,
it has nothing to do with you.
It has nothing to do with you. They're not even thinking about you. Like, they're thinking about, how am I gonna pay my rent? How am I gonna, where's my next meal coming from? Like, it could be a whole, I'm like dying, how can I continue to live? Like, there's so many other things that can be causing them not to talk to you. So,
Is this true?
thank you.
How to deal with negative comments from family?
I try to ignore.
Ignore.
That's what I tell my clients to, like, ignore. Sometimes people are ignorant.
Boundary setting too. I also think that when we talk about intentions, so sometimes people say negative comments and they have good intentions. So for example, oh, you got back really late last night. Yeah, like maybe they're concerned for your safety. Or sometimes people say negative comments like, I don't like that lipstick color on you. I can't see how that's beneficial at all, other than to her.
Right?
So I think if you...
It doesn't highlight.
I think if the intentions are coming from a good place, you could try to bear it, try to just, manage it, maybe set a little boundary.
I think it has a lot to do with people's deliverance too. Because some people could say something like the saying, think before you speak. Some people just don't know how to do that.
Right.
So when they just speak, it's like, well, what did you just say? And naturally, the other person's first reaction might be on a defense mode. But the person can genuinely say something to you and just really want to help. They just don't know how to. So I think for them, it could be about expressing themselves or knowing how to express themselves.
And it's like, as a therapist, we try to teach our clients how to, like, reframe, like, change the way you say things, because people can perceive it in a very negative manner.
Sure. So if you have good intentions, let those good intentions be known. So instead of saying, oh, late again, you could say, when you come home late, I'm really worried about you. I get really worried. That way, instead of feeling like it's a criticism, you actually feel the concern and love.
Right.
And sometimes when that happens, or when you put a person in that place, it can make them rebel.
How do you reframe the lipstick one, though? I just want you to look your best.
And just straight kiss, like, thank you.
Or just say, I don't think that purple is good on you. but I think red, exactly.
Yes.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
You always have to make the person feel good, even if it's like they know it's horrible shade on them.
What is a shade?
If you don't want to come out and say it.
Communication skills 101. Start with a compliment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So at least if the person laughs, maybe later on down the line, they'll be like, did you just come at me?
We will have moments.
Okay. We spoke about self-care. So how to deal with favoritism within a family.
Oh God.
Oh.
Okay. You're only child.
I'm an
You'll
only
never
child.
know.
I'll always be the favorite. Sorry.
Oh man. This is a hard one. And I'll start as a therapist.
Okay.
So I think that from being a therapist, I realized that the vast majority of people are deeply wounded by favoritism. Like, it is a wound that lasts a lifetime. And I think it goes back to the concept of personalization.
Mm-hmm.
Where you think, because this person leaned more towards my sibling or more towards, this other family member, I must have a deficit of some sort. And therefore, that deficit is just such a deep wound. And it takes a lot of work to heal it. But I go back to the basics of, like, if you had a parent who did display a lot of favoritism and did engage in differential treatment, that is 100% their shortcoming, And of course, there's extenuating circumstances. Sometimes I hear a lot in families where the special needs child, whether it was anger issues, learning disabled, they got all the attention, the love, and the child that was actually excelling and doing great felt
ignored.
Felt neglected.
Yeah.
Felt super neglected.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's one of those things where it's just extenuating circumstances.
It's like you could do everything right.
And not be acknowledged.
Right.
Yeah.
The favorite child is not always the best child, Well, there is no best child. Now I'm getting shady. There's no best child, but it's favoritism isn't always like the child that just listened the best, cleaned the best, did the best in school. It's much more complex than that, I think, and every case is a little bit different.
I've always wondered, like, how do you say, like, oh, this is my favorite child? Like, I never had that either, because not only am I an only child, my son's an only child, so I never had to, like,
I don't think a lot of parents say it, and if they did, I would find that to be very abusive. Why would you say that?
Yeah, I don't think, or I've never come across hearing someone actually come out and say it, but the actions.
I have come across someone who says it.
Really?
Yes, but that someone struggled with verbal abuse, right? That's an abusive statement.
I've had a lot of clients tell me, like, oh, I'm not the favorite, or my parents don't call me, or my parents gave all the attention to my brother. That has happened.
I don't know exactly what the intentions of a statement like that would be. Maybe to make the person insecure, make them feel bad. We can get into, because we can go talk hours about abuse and why abuse happens.
But maybe the other person is struggling within themselves, and they want to look better. Like, sometimes parents are in competition, and it could be in competition with themselves. It could be in competition with other family members or friends, or even with their kids.
I've seen a few cases where the child reminded them of the parent that they no longer were with. Maybe the other parent was abusive or cheated on them or did some sort of negativity, and then they project that towards the child that looks like this parent. It's really complex. There's so many layers to it. But regardless, once you reach a point where you are an adult, or even if you're a teen or you're in treatment, you have to then say, I am not going to allow this person to make me feel less than anymore. Right. And I'm going to nurture myself and meet my own needs. And you could also find pseudo relatives. So let's say you're not close to your dad, maybe you'll be really close to a grandpa or an uncle or an older brother. And you nurture those relationships. So
And sometimes also like family members are not just your family. Like you could also have like really close friends that are, you know, like I said, I'm an only child, but I have like I would say like 3 or 4 best friends that are like my sisters. So it's like anything that happens, I call them automatically. So sometimes it doesn't have to be blood related, and they are just as close or even closer than your own family members.
Yeah,
that's true. That is true.
How many more questions we got?
One more.
Ooh.
Are you ready?
I'm totally ready.
How to treat family accordingly.
Okay. I have a theory, right? I believe in mutually beneficial relationships. So it's a give and take. Okay. So some people will say, oh, that sounds really petty, but I don't think it is. I think sometimes we feel most sad in relationships where we're giving, and we're not getting anything in return because it's not healthy. It has to be balanced. So for me, the answer to that question is matching energy. So if someone is there for you, they're supportive, they sacrifice when they need to, they're just a great person to you, you return that greatness. And you make sure that you're maintaining a healthy relationship with this highly valuable individual by making sure there's balance and harmony. If the person is not giving much to you, they don't pick up your phone calls, they don't respond to your texts, they don't make plans with you, they're not there in times of crisis, guess what? You just respond the same way. Not out of place of like pettiness, but like, no, I need to have balance in my relationships to feel good, to be the best me. So that's kind of my approach. I don't know if you have a different.
I mean, I feel the same. I know like in the past I have been the one to like reach out a few times, and then I feel like the older I've gotten, the more I'm like, wait a minute, why am I the one always reaching out? Like, why can I pick up the phone and you can't pick up the phone? So I've also done the same, like, okay, well, you know, I'm gonna give you as much as you give me. And it's not, like I said, like she said, not pettiness, it's just, if I can put in the time and I have a million other things, I feel like you should be able to put in the time. Then if you can't, or you just choose not to, without giving an explanation, then that means I must not be
a priority.
And I feel like we all deserve to be met halfway.
Right.
And if someone's not meeting you halfway, then that's not a relationship that's worthy of your time and attention.
I think the answers that you both gave kind of tie everything that we've discussed in terms of the boundaries, people's intentions, self-care, like everything kind of goes together.
Yeah.
When dealing with family, and sometimes there's no perfect family.
No.
At all.
Right, there's no
Not
perfect
at all.
At all. But you learn to deal with family a certain way, and then even if the expectation is to help yourself by helping them, you kind of get to know who they are, what they're about, and in turn, what you can do. Like, what are your limitations, so that you eventually can start your own family and pass it on.
Okay.
So.
Oh, that was fun.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah. What's the name of this series we're doing here?
What's your take?
What's your take? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So it's been real fun.
Yes. Until we meet again.
Next time.
Yeah.
All right. Rise up, Rize.
Rise up,
All right. Cool.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.